Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and more accurately, ancient Greece and Athens. So today we're going to be exploring ancient Greece as seen in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. This game is visually pretty insane and fairly accurate as far as I can tell. I'll also be talking about some facts about ancient Greece, Sparta, and Athens while we take a walk. This is actually the Discovery Tour version of the game, so there is no combat or anything like that, or any story. It's just an interactive excursion through the map. I believe there are guided tours. I'm going to try to keep the parkouring around to a minimum, just so it's a bit more ASMR-ish. I don't want to be running around, just taking a leisurely stroll through ancient Greece. This is the region of Attica, which is the home place of Athens. I believe this game is set during the 5th century BC, during the Peloponnesian War between Sparta and Athens. As we explore Athens and wander down from the Parthenon, perhaps I'll tell you a fact about the Parthenon and Athens. While the Parthenon is the central city landmark in the Acropolis of Athens, this sacred temple has known some hardship. During its lifetime, the temple has been used as a storage for munitions, converted into a church, then a mosque, and widely looted by former ambassador to Constantinople. Just a warning, I'm probably going to mispronounce most of the names of places and people in this video. Down here we can see the theatre of Dionysus, another Greek name that I'm probably mispronouncing. I believe Dionysus was the god of wine. You can hear some, I assume, traditional Greek music. I've never been to ancient Greece or modern Greece, so playing this game was my first exposure to the actual landscape of Greece, other than what I learned during school. As we continue to wander through the streets of Athens, I'll tell you another fact. Apparently Athens is actually one of the earliest cities, at least one of the earliest capital cities that still stands today in Europe. The origins of the city go back 3,000 to 4,000 years. Having been inhabited for so long, Athens has been submitted to nearly every form of government known to this day: monarchy, democracy, socialism, capitalism, and even communism. So now we're outside the city of Athens, just taking a jog through the rather mountainous landscape. And there we are, looking up at the Acropolis. I'm just going to call my horse so we can move through the landscape a bit more quickly. Now we're moving along at a bit quicker pace, but hopefully it's still a relaxing pace. I'm thinking today that we'll just head north and see where we end up. So we're now leaving Athens, although we'll still be in the region of Attica for a little while yet. Some of the local fauna, cows or bison or some kind of bovine creatures likely used for agriculture. And while we're moving along outside of Athens, perhaps I'll tell you another little fact about ancient Greece. Ancient Greeks, and Romans for that matter, often bought slaves using salt. This is where the phrase, "not worth his salt," comes from, or "not worth her salt." Many of these facts that I'm reading today were just pulled from various web pages online, so perhaps you should take these with a grain of salt. I'm not very proud of that pun. We can also see goats, I believe they're goats, along the side of the road here. Another local piece of fauna to the Greek regions. Here we're coming past what used to be a farm. I'm not sure what they farmed. It kind of looks like lettuce, but I'm sure I'm incorrect. This may have been a settlement that was burned during a battle between the Athenians and the Spartans. We can see the Spartan insignia on that shield there. Perhaps this was some kind of Spartan settlement or farm that was burnt by the Athenians. So how about another fact as we go off-road? Spiked dog collars were actually invented in ancient Greece, but they didn't serve the same training purposes that they serve today. Sheepdogs on farms wore spiked collars called melium. Again, I'm probably mispronouncing that. But these melium were to protect the necks of the dogs from wolf bites, as the dogs protected the flocks of sheep from wild wolves. I'm not sure if we'll see many wild wolves today as we explore this region, but I can assure you the base game of Assassin's Creed Odyssey is riddled with wolves to the point of being quite annoying. This looks like some kind of Spartan outpost. much to see here, so I think we'll keep pressing on north. And we see, I believe, a wild lynx just wandering around, perhaps into the outpost. I'm gonna once again go off-road and just see if I can get a good view of what's ahead. While I do, I think it's time for another fact. The act of using the middle finger to flip someone off actually originated in ancient Greece. Again, these facts may be incorrect, but there might be some truth to them. One of the most interesting parts of ancient Greece to me as a kid was always the mythology. Wow, what a view. One of the amazing things about this game is that you can just look out over entire swaths of ocean, and sometimes you can see battles between Athenian and Spartan ships. Perhaps that's what happened down along that coast, where those ships are marooned and shipwrecked on the shore. And we can see two ships with blue sails sailing towards this ship with red sails, the red being the Spartans and the blue being the Athenians. Back to talking about Greek myths and Greek mythology. I have a small fact that I've always enjoyed about one of the Greek gods, Aphrodite, who was the Greek goddess of love, among other things. Beauty, I believe. Aphrodite was actually born in quite a peculiar way. She came into being when Kronos, one of the original 12 titans of Greek myth and father of Zeus, castrated his father, Uranos, which I'm sure I'm mispronunciation. Once castrating Uranos, Kronos threw his father's testicles across the sea, where they landed near the island of Kythera, and from these testicles sprung Aphrodite, the god or goddess of love and beauty. It's quite a strange story, but much of Greek myth is quite strange. I can see down there, I can see a mountain lion approaching a herd of goats, two mountain lions, but perhaps they're not hungry, or they just feel like wandering amongst the goats, because they don't seem to be hunting. I think we should perhaps return to the roads and see if we can find a settlement to explore. While we do, another fact. In Greek mythology, the gods punished Prometheus by having his liver eaten by eagles. It was then regrown, so it could be eaten again every day as punishment. The reason for this was that in ancient Greece, the liver, rather than the heart, was thought to be the center or the source of all human emotions, which is quite a strange conclusion to come to. But I suppose their understanding of medicine and cultural objects was quite different to what it is today. After all, the heart isn't actually the source of emotions. The brain is, and perhaps whatever glands in your body secrete hormones. some kind of sanctuary. Let's take a walk inside. I was expecting some kind of sacrifice, but it looks more like they're paying tribute. It's an entire lion pelt, quite impressive. So are these paintings. I'm not sure what it's depicting, although if I had to guess, I would say that perhaps those are the Furies, or perhaps sirens. I'm not quite sure. Regardless, they're very impressive. I wonder where my horse went. There we are. And we're on the road again. Hopefully we can find somewhere of interest. If not, I'm happy to just have a wander through this marvelous landscape while I talk about facts that may or may not be completely inaccurate. But the important thing is that we're just gonna relax. Did you know the Temple of Artemis, one of the 7 wonders of the world, was burnt down by an arsonist who wished to be famous for his crime following his execution by the Greeks? They made it a capital offense to mention his name, to ensure that he's never mentioned. It's quite brutal, but fair. The punishment fits the crime. Unfortunately for the ancient Greeks, this man that actually burnt down the Temple of Artemis has many Wikipedia entries about him, although I've intentionally left his name out of this fact, just to sort of honour that punishment that he received. We're now coming into another small city, Thebes. I say small. Thebes was actually quite large, I believe. Perhaps it's time to continue walking on foot as the sun sets over ancient Greece. We'll just wander through this market and see what we can find. Looks like they're drying some meats. Some pots. I believe at least one of those is an amphora. And a blacksmith. They almost certainly wouldn't have been called a blacksmith. But that is my understanding of what that man's trade is. Thebes seems to be a Spartan settlement. I'm sure at different times it traded hands, but for now it's Spartan. And here we have some kind of arena. Perhaps people fought here. Perhaps there were plays. Seems like it's going to be quite a cloudy night here in Thebes. Hopefully there's no rain, although rain can sometimes be relaxing. As we continue our journey through Thebes, I'll tell you another fact. The historian Herodotus, who is actually in this game, tells us that when the Athenians were defeated in the 5th century at the end of the Aegean War, just one man managed to survive the slaughter, returning to Athens to inform the city of their defeat. He was surrounded by the wives of the fallen men. These wives each asked him where their husband was, as they stabbed him to death with their brooch pins. The man died on the cobblestones of Athens. Apparently, soon after, a law was passed preventing women from having brooch pins that could be used in such a way. And I think that's just the kind of happy story that we need as we leave Thebes behind and head into the night. We should keep heading north. I can see water off to the north. I'll just follow the road as I pass through this river, or stream rather. So Thebes was a Spartan settlement. At least it is during the 5th century, or this point now during the 5th century. I have a fact about Sparta. Many people know the word Sparta or Spartans from the film 300 by Zack Snyder, which features the Battle of 300 at Thermopylae. But did you know, rather than 300 Spartans dying during the battle, there were actually 298 that died? So the 298 Spartans that died in battle, the 2 that didn't die, one was being treated for an eye wound, or rather an eye infection, when the Greek forces were attacked by the Persians. Meanwhile, the other, second Spartan who didn't die during the battle, was known as Pentitus. He was away at the time of the battle, bringing a message. It was some kind of envoy, I suppose. And when Pentitus returned to Sparta, he was so ashamed that he had not been in the battle that he hung himself. Another lovely story as we wander along the beach of Sparta. Or rather, the beach of ancient Greece, because this region is not controlled by Sparta, nor does it have Sparta within it. That's another region entirely. I can see another settlement. Perhaps we will follow the beach and head there. Perhaps I'll walk a little bit in the water and just get my feet a little bit wet. And perhaps I'll tell you the final fact fact about Sparta. Did you know that all male Spartan citizens, except for the firstborn son and the two ruling houses, were required to undertake a rigorous and brutal military education and training called the agoge? And again, I'm almost certainly mispronouncing agoge. Any male who did not successfully pass through this training was denied Spartan citizenship, which obviously caused many issues during various times in Sparta, as there were deficits of male citizens because they couldn't pass through the brutal training and become citizens and Spartan soldiers. I believe when a soldier does particularly well in his training, he joins the Cryptia, a sort of a secret military that exists within Sparta. I think this might be a salt farm. It looks like they're harvesting sea salt from the ocean. This was perhaps a very lucrative trade. It's also quite a sight. I don't think I've ever actually seen a salt farm. Until now, I suppose. I think that is a boat filled with perhaps baskets or bags of salt. Even at night, this place is quite stunning. I wonder how long it is until dawn. This place seems quite deserted, but I don't think many people walk between the salt piles at night. Although just as I said that, I now come across various Greek citizens making their rounds. Perhaps here is where our journey will end, amongst the salt piles. I hope you enjoyed our walk through Greece and my facts. No matter how inaccurate some of them may be, I hope it was at the very least interesting.